I need to see the screen. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotar Shata His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotar Shata His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा माँ यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री श्री राधा नीला माधव की जय। श्री श्री राधा गिरिधारी की जय। श्री श्री निताय चैतन्य चंद्र निताय गौर चंद्र की जय। श्री श्री गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you. And yeah, always. Huh? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Prabhupada Stutara Shri Srimadis Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaputale Srimati Tamal Krishna Vaswanti Namini. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaputale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamti Namini. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschyapta Desatarini. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayer Nasta Praishu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistikir. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 5, Prahlad, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. We are doing texts 23 and 24. So we'll do a summary first of the chapter. So in the previous chapter 4, Yudhishthira Maharaj asked Narada Muni how Hiranyakashipu was tormenting his own son. how he was so violent with his own saintly son. Nice boy, and he wanted to know how is he doing it? How did he manage to do that? So in this particular chapter, the demons have accepted. When we say demons, it's more asuras. You know? The word asura is better than demons. Because in the modern context, demon means, with horns and really like a ghost, like that, no? Yeah, it gives you a different picture. But here, you'll be interested actually, here in Yaksha, he had fangs, in case you're wondering. There's a description in the Bhagavatam, he had fangs. Yeah, so maybe demons, maybe demons. But anyway, the asuras, they accepted Sukracharya. You know who Sukracharya? The priest, the head priest of the, for the asuras, they have accepted him as the spiritual, not spiritual, okay, we can say kind of spiritual master. They are spiritual master. More skewed towards material consciousness, right? More in terms of karma kanda and so on. And so they've accepted him, and he's the main person, so they'll go and study under him. Now, he had two sons, Sanda and Amarka, and they helped their father Sukracharya. But they were not at the level of Sukracharya. They were not so Brahmanical, because they are, the description says Brahma Bandhu. So therefore, they are like friends of the Brahmanas. So, sometimes you have your sons or daughters, they don't want to study, so they hang around the house, so you engage them, no? So in the same way, Sukracharya engaged them. So, and what do? They were asked to help with Prahlad's education. Okay, the two sons. But what they didn't know was that Prahlad already was learned. When he was, whilst in the womb of his mother, he got transcendental education from Narada Muni completely. And therefore he was already learned. He didn't need to learn anymore, because he already knew the politics, everything, diplomacy, morals, devotion, everything he knew. He knew how to apply them and so. So therefore when Sanda and Amarka were teaching diplomacy, politics, right? He wasn't interested, because theirs was based on material dualities. Their knowledge was, this is your enemy, these are your friends. Whereas Prahlad is, everyone is my friend. Everyone is the servant of Krishna. So that's the vision of a spiritualist, as opposed to a vision of a materialist or asura or demon, if you want. So he's trained. He doesn't like it, but he just listens. He's a good boy, so he listens to Sanda and Amarka. And so once, when his father, Hiranyakashipu, wanted to know how his son was doing, so he asked him, and this is like in the 5th verse that we did the last time. So he said, "Well, Dad, king of the asuras, right? You should give up your materialistic life and go to the forest, Vana. Remember? We were reading the other day. And take shelter of Vishnu." So immediately Hiranyakashipu gets very disturbed, because his sworn enemy is Vishnu. Because he killed his brother Hiranyaksha. So he really wants to get his revenge. So he was so angry. But he didn't, in the first instant, he didn't get angry with his own son. So he was asking the two teachers, I guess there are spies among the Brahmanas, or rather he was thinking all the demigods have disguised as Brahmanas and preaching the Vaishnava culture. So he was very angry with the teachers. And obviously the teachers were saying, it's not our fault, we thought everything according to what we know, Asura culture, So, huh? Yeah, well, he says this is Asura culture. Well, basically, if you read their philosophy, everything is based mainly on karma kanda, which means how to achieve a very high standard of materialistic life. Follow the scriptures, but ignore Vishnu and Narayana. Yeah. So that was the whole idea with them. So they kind of convinced Hiranyakashipu that they weren't the personalities who actually taught Prahlad this new Vaishnava culture. They were very unhappy because the Vaishnava culture is the enemy's culture. And look at all of us, we are enemies of Hiranyakashipu, which in a sense is true, right? If you go out there in the world, when we talk about God, people don't like it. They say, God is dead. Like that. So both Sanda and Amarka were astonished because Prahlad, how old was he? He's in Gurukul, not like 5-6 years old, and he was speaking such high, exalted Vaishnava philosophy. So they were like taken aback. How is that possible? Who are you? They are thinking. So he says, when they ask him, he says, well, my intelligence is not polluted, and I am here by the grace of my spiritual master, Narada. He has taught me that. And they were like, wow, yeah. And he said, no one taught me, and no one is my enemy, or no one is my friend. So he says that very strongly, and so they are kind of shocked. So, but then they both decided that the best way to do is chastise the boy, and then, he'll be okay. So they heavily chastise him. Of course, they don't beat him because he's the son of the biggest demon, So don't mess around with the demon, So one demon is afraid of another demon. So it's like a dog-eat-dog world, or jivesya jivananam, One living entity is put to another. So in that kind of existence, we live in this modern society, afraid of someone else who might usurp our position or eat us, take away our positions, like that, right? If your boss tells you something, you say, yes sir, how many times sir? Right? You will do whatever they ask, But then when you come to the temple, and then when the temple president tells you, do this, oh, I'm tired, my back hurts, and this and that, So this is the culture we have to live in, yeah. So when the teachers chastise him, and then they teach him dharma, artha and kama, they don't teach him moksha, all right? So dharma is religiosity, but based on rituals, karma kanda rituals, beneficial, boons, stuff like artha, what? Economic development, how to make money, yeah, dinero, And then, last one, kama is to enjoy the senses to the fullest extent, yeah. What is that? Hurts so good, right? That's a saying in the West. It hurts so good, you just work until you even bleed, but it is so good I can enjoy. So again, they felt after a while, I think the boy is ready. Yeah, I think he's cool. He has been sufficiently brainwashed, and so they prepared him and they brought him to Hiranyakashipu, And he was so affectionate to his son. He embraced him, placed him on his lap, and tears of affectionate tears were falling. Hey, come on, he's a father. He can have some, affection, right? Even demons can have affection, There's a saying in South Indian, they say even a crow, when it looks at its baby, it feels so joyful because the fledgling, the baby crow, looks very ugly. So the crow, right? Yeah. They say. So in the same way, Hiranyakashipu is so much affection for his son. And he has every right to have that affection. And once again he asks his son, what is the best of the knowledge that you have thus far learned? So he was thinking, he has learned from his guru. So he's saying, what have you learned from your guru? So he's thinking Sukracharya, Sanda and Amarka. Whereas Prahlad is thinking guru is Narada Muni. So one person is talking about the materialistic guru, the other person is talking about thinking about the spiritual guru. And guess Prahlad is so advanced, he's only thinking of his spiritual master. Yeah. So he's thinking of Narada. And so immediately he says, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam, which is today's verse. And I guess we can do today's verse. And the other devotees can, of course, after saying that, Hiranyakashipu gets so angry and he goes ballistics, and then he chucks his son from his lap. You can see that. He's in this picture. From the lap, he tries to throw him away. So much anger. So let's go to the verse proper. You can follow. Shri Prarada Uvacha. Shri Prarada Uvacha. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Smaranam Padasevanam. Archanam Bandhanam Dasyam. Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. Iti Pumsarpita Vishnau. Bhaktischennava Kriyata Bhagavati Adha. Tanmanye Ditam Uttamam. Shri Prarada Vacha. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Smaranam Padasevanam. Archanam Bandhanam Dasyam. Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. Shri Pralada Vacha. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Maranam Padasevanam. Archanam Vandhanam Dasyam. Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. Shri Pralada Vacha. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Smaranam Padasevanam. Archanam Bandhanam Dasyam. Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. Shri Prarada Vacha. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Bandhanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. Krishna. Sri Prarada Vacha Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Bandhanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. Okay, Sri Prarada Vacha. Prahlad Maharaj said, Shravanam, hearing, Kirtanam, chanting, Vishnu, of Lord Vishnu, not anyone else. Smaranam, remembering. Padasevanam, serving the feet. Archanam, offering worship. With Shodashopachara, the 16 kinds of paraphernalia. Vandanam, offering prayers. Dasyam, becoming the servant. Sakyam, becoming the best friend. Atmanivedanam, surrendering everything, whatever one has. Okay. I guess we can do that. Iti das pumsa arpita, offered by the devotee. Vishnu, unto Lord Vishnu, not to anyone else. Bhakti, devotional service. Chat, if Navalakshana, possessing 9 different processes. Kriyeta, one should perform. Bhagavati, onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Adha, directly or completely. Tat, that. Manye, I consider. Aditam, learning. Uttamam, topmost. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada Ki Jai. Please follow me in the translation. Prahlad Maharaj said, you can repeat with me. Prahlad Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming His servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto Him. In other words, serving Him with the body, mind and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. Now the purport spans almost 12, 14, 16, about 18 pages. So, what I'll do I guess we'll just read paragraph after paragraph, and if I see time permitting, I'll either just go straight into more discussion, right? Acceptable? Okay, so, yeah.
When Prahlad Maharaj was asked by his father to say something from whatever he had learned, he considered that what he had learned from his spiritual master was the best of all teachings, whereas what he had learned about diplomacy from his material teachers, Sunda and Amarka, was useless. Bhakti Paresh Anubhavo Viraktir Anyatracha. This is the symptom of pure devotional service. A pure devotee is interested only in devotional service, not in material affairs. To execute devotional service, one should always engage in hearing and chanting about Krishna or Lord Vishnu. The process of temple worship is called archana. How to perform archana will be explained herein. One should have complete faith in the words of Krishna, who says that he is the great well-wishing friend of everyone. Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. A devotee considers Krishna the only friend. This is called Sakyam Pum Sarpita Vishnu. The word Pumsa means by all living entities. There are no distinctions permitting only a man or only a brahmana to offer devotional service to the Lord. Everyone can do so. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:32, Shriyo Vaishyas Tata Shudras Tepi Yanti Param Gatim. Although women, Vaishyas, and Shudras are considered less intelligent, they also can become devotees and return home, back to Godhead.
Okay. So, what we can understand is that the education nowadays is more like Sanda and Amarka education, right? We can say that. Yeah, mostly. No, all education system, except when it is geared towards spiritual life. Mostly it's about Sanda and Amarka education. What is that? Ahara Nidra Vayam Maitunam Cha, which means eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So that's all they teach you, right? How to eat, right? What do you do now, right? You go to college, you get a degree, Prabhupada says, then you go barking from one boss, one employer to another employer. Woof, woof, woof. And they will say, what do you want? I want a job. Woof, woof, go away. We don't want you. So, and if you get something, they throw a bone or two, a biscuit, and then you think it's the world, you know. You become so excited and say, oh, I got such a wonderful job. And what is the goal of your job? Right? What is it that is giving you? Nothing but, okay, now I can buy some food, right? I used to buy canned food, now I'll buy fresh food. Then if you get right? So if you get promoted, then you'll say, now I can buy organic food. But then you go and see the farm, both organic and normal fresh food, not that different, yeah, not that different. Of course, some people will say it's different, but that's how it is, yeah? And right, so that's what eating is all about, right? You get money and you allocate so many percentage, 25% for rent, 25% for my savings, 25% for utilities, 50% for family. Then you calculate and say, I don't want this family thing because I can't save. Right? People think like that. So that's why you see things are getting worse nowadays, right? So, right, and then if you have extra money, you go for entertainment, for karma, entertainment, or you use it, Prabhupada says they use it for sex and all that, it's just waste of time. So Prahlad Maharaj here, he realizes that this is not the education I am interested in. And by the same argument, all of us should also be uninterested in such education. So one of the things Prabhupada said is when we send our children to colleges and so on, we are sending them to the slaughterhouses. Because at the end of life, if you do not know what the goal of life is, you're just like an animal. You get killed and then you go to hell or hellish condition and you suffer. So Prabhupada said that that's not real education. So Prahlad, understanding what Sanda Namarka was speaking, he was very uninterested in that kind of topic because it has no value, right? As soon as the body is gone, the education is useless. No point. What is the value of such education? Shrama eva hi kevalam, right? Right? Notpadayat yadi ratim shrama eva hi kevalam. If the education doesn't give attraction to the message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is simply a waste of time. So then one can argue and say, but we need this education in this society. True. So go and get that education, but see how you reconnect with Krishna, right? How do you connect? How do you teach your children? How you yourself are connecting with Krishna. Otherwise, what you learn will only lead you to death, that's all. Right? They say, work hard, I study hard, I became such a great person. At the end, I am a rascal and going to die. Yeah. But if you have Krishna consciousness, you can say, I worked hard, I did that, and then finally I learned the real thing. I understood what life is meant for. Because nobody is telling me what life is meant for. Nobody, right? Nobody. Even if you go to some other religious group also, they can give you something, but they cannot tell you who God is. Cannot tell you how He looks, where His address is, right? They can't tell you. They can't tell you how many girlfriends he has, how many boyfriends, what's his favorite food. How can you love someone if you don't know them, right? So mostly the education you find outside is based on the senses. We have senses, and through senses we learn the world, the material world. But that's about it, right? You see things, you smell, you taste, you feel. So that's through the indriyas, the senses, one achieves a level of understanding of the material world, but it is not complete. It's an incomplete understanding. So which is precisely what Sanda Namarka are trying to teach Prahlad. And their incomplete education is that it is based on dualities. If you do this, you will be happy. If you do that, you will become unhappy. And this kind of people are your friends. This kind of people are your enemies. So this is basically what you learn nowadays also, right? You learn every day because many of you maybe are watching news or reading news. So the news, they are all propaganda machines, right? The government is trying to feed you some way of thinking so that they can control it. Particularly in China, where I go, they always talk about all these things. The government is good, the government is best, the government protects you. Yeah? Oh, the Westerners, they are nonsense. Oh, the Westerners, they are taking away your freedom. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nilamadava ki, Jai Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Giri Govardhan ki, Jai Shri Shintai Chaitanya Chandra Shri Shintai Gaura Chandra ki, Jai Iskcon Guru Vrinda ki, Jai. So they tell you all this in different parts of the world. The propaganda is like that. And they are hoping the mass population will follow their propaganda, which means they want you to learn in a certain fashion. So therefore, the education system is skewed towards what the government is, who is the controlling body in society. And so they determine right? So the scientists, all these people, they have the ear of the president or the prime minister of different country, and they go, and then they go, and then they come up with some nonsense philosophy, and then they make it into law. And then the innocent public, they can't do anything about it, right? They're like, whoa, they say, shut up. I'll send the forces, the army, right? This is what it is. This is exactly what the world is. And so Prahlad could see that, and he was thinking, I don't want this material knowledge, I don't want this politics, I don't want this diplomacy, I don't want this sense enjoyment, because I want Krishna. So as devotees, whilst we are living in this material world, yes, we study the way they have structured the society, we study, no problem, They tell us all this is good and all that is bad. So we like, okay, because we need to get through the system. So we say, okay. But internally, we are aligned with Krishna conscious philosophy. Right? We should know that. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. You cannot balance, you're not sure which is what. And when you find that with many, many devotees, because they don't practice sufficiently, they don't chant properly, they don't associate properly, right? And when you don't have those proper association, proper chanting, they don't read Prabhupada's books, and therefore they are bewildered 9 out of 10 times. Yeah. And then when they hear someone else talk something, they say, why are you talking like that? You're so not understanding the difficulties of real society. And when do you get such philosophy? They argue sometimes. Prabhupada's book. Where does Prabhupada say that? Okay, in this page is, well, I don't believe you. Yeah, that's the philosophy. Because they are convinced by the asura kula, the asura culture that is so pervasive in society nowadays. So you can see also, that sometimes, especially you go to the dentist or you go to any kind of place where you have to wait, right? The optician, optometrist, doctor's office, right? Or even some accountant, you have to wait. So they have magazines, right? He's laughing. He's a doctor. So they have all kinds of silly magazines, You pay $5, $10 about what? About cars, about houses, right? About what? What else do they have, That's what you see mostly, right? About maybe some farm. Oh, no, wine. Wine, most places you go, wine, because wine is very refined, You must be high class, So they have a whole magazine of different types of Chardonnay, all kinds of drinks and so on. And then, and people look, oh wow, look at this, it's so cool, And people pay $5, and they think, oh, I'm earning, 100K or 60K or whatever. I can pay $5, but they cheat. So many millions and millions of people are buying like that, thinking I will get something, right? And if you go to the computer people, they have the magazines, Computer World, PC Magazine, all kinds of, Engadget, all kinds of magazines. For what? Just so that you think, oh, now I know everything. No, you don't know. At the time of death, you don't know what to do. So the education that Krishna consciousness gives is prepare for the biggest exam. And that is death. At the time of death, how will you answer the questions? Yeah? Are you going to just say, or are you going to say, Hare Krishna, and die? Right? What we want and what we will do is dependent on how much we are going to study, educate ourselves, practice. Yeah. So the very first thing in self-realization begins with hearing. Any education begins with hearing. You got to hear. Yeah. So when you hear properly, you will retain sufficient information. Right? Mostly when a class is going on, at that moment there is a possibility the students will retain at least 80%, but after half an hour it's down to 50%. After the end of the day it's 10%. Unless you are a genius, then, or you have the ability, photographic memory and so on, then you can remember pretty much everything. But otherwise, you have to go back and revision, right? Revise. And just like when you memorize sloka, how many times you have to go through, right? Over and over. You sleep and wake up. Is this it? Is it? Then take out, look at the book, and oh, okay, I forgot that. Okay, then sleep. So much practice just to know a few slokas. Then just imagine how much garbage out there that has been packed in your head. They open your skull, take out your brain, and then they put all the garbage, and then they close it back, and then they stitch and say, now you are perfect for society. That'll make a good art, no? You can do comics. But that's society. That's the present society. But Prabhupada was once told that you are just brainwashing people, And Prabhupada said, yes, that's good. I want to brainwash people. Because all our consciousness is geared to sense enjoyment. And sense enjoyment is just, we all know, it's temporary. It's temporary. Therefore, it cannot be the goal of life. Logically speaking, it's temporary. So how could it be the best thing? Temporary things. Permanency is what we are looking for, right? And therefore, Prahlad Maharaj says, Shravanam, hear the right things. When we say Shravanam, you can Shravanam anything. Shravanam this, Shravanam that, Shravanam anything, right? So our point is hearing the glories of the Supreme Lord, right? Which is why we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah. So, of course, one can argue, well, I don't know who Krishna is, how can I even chant and make any advancement? But then we have the case of Ajamila, right? He wasn't calling his the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada says he called his son. But as he was dying and when he was calling, at that moment, as he called his son, he then also remembered. Just a little bit he remembered Narayana. He said, I used to worship Narayan. So that inkling of, I used to worship, Lord said, that's enough. I am happy, Yeah. Even when you forget Krishna, Krishna doesn't forget you. Yeah. If you do a positive activity and then you do all other negative activity, Krishna always remembers your positive. If you have positive activity but your intention is negative, Krishna remembers your positive. But if you have bad activities but your intention is good, Krishna remembers your good intention. So education in Krishna is so much superior than ordinary education. It can't help us. It's like anchors. Material education is an anchor. You know what an anchor is? Can you hold an anchor and swim? No, pretty much not. Right? So that's what happens. It drags you further and further and into lower and lower species, and you have to suffer, and then slowly you come back to the human form of life, and then you say, let me try again. Or maybe you don't know that you have to try. right? We do not know that. So we need to have good association to reinforce, satam prasanga mama virya samvido, right? Kapiladev says that, yeah. So then when you associate with that kind of association, satam, that means satam means those who are in the goodness. Those who are, when we say goodness, we mean devotee goodness, yeah. And that is favorable, yeah. Yeah, if you were to associate with somebody who is not devotees, what happens? You start getting mixed up with values, right? If you are a weak person, what happens?
You start agreeing with them.
You start agreeing.
Taking on their opinions.
Yeah, you're thinking.
You can't really argue against what they're saying. Your intelligence isn't strong enough.
Yes.
So then you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe they're right.
Yeah, yeah. So if you do not train our intelligence properly with scriptures and so on, the intelligence is not strong enough to counter whatever others may say, no? Then peer pressure. Oh, they must be right. I'm a fool. Yeah. Yeah. Huh? You'll say that exactly in the same voice? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's how they feel. Yeah. Because there's no strength. Krishna says, Hridaya Durlabham, weakness, petty weakness of heart. So therefore you cannot stand up, there's no backbone anymore. The modern education strips you of your backbone, no spine anymore. So you cannot face reality. The world out there is ruthless. Don't for a moment think it's nice. The term Hiranyakashipu means soft bed, golden soft bed, yeah. So you don't have any more spine. You just lie on a soft bed and die, right? When you have no life, you cannot get up and move and do things properly, right? But you find when you become Krishna conscious and you read, you want to do things. You want to help people. You want to get them to understand. And then you want to bring them to Krishna. That is sakyam. Because he's our best friend and you want others to have his friendship. Bringing someone like that is sakyam. Right? Then following the rules and regulations is like a servant, dasyam. Now, whatever you hear, you have to recollect, and that is smaranam. So if you hear and see good things, you can recollect good things. If you see something ugly, right? Let's say you were walking, and then all of a sudden a guy comes in front and flashes. Right? And then what happens? You have that, oh, horrible, can't do anything, right? Yucky, ooh, right? Can't do anything. It takes a while, so you better go and chant and look at the deities' pictures and, oh my God, finally, yeah. But that's reality though. That's the material world. Everywhere you go, you see garbage. Garbage in, garbage out. So we have to keep it clean. So smarana. So by chanting, you can chant. Even though you may not be convinced, sometimes it'll automatically come out, right? In the beginning stages of your Krishna consciousness, even you will be chanting and you're like, hey, I'm chanting, right? You don't even know what you're doing. Then you hear some songs, you change it to Krishna's songs, tune, right? Right, Joe? Yeah, you do that? Yeah, you see, there you go. That it happens to all of us, So smaranam. So the better we study and read the books, that means daily you should have in your life a portion allocated for reading Prabhupada's book before you go to bed, right? Ideally, Krishna book. If it's not so idle, then at least something else. But Krishna, something to do with Krishna. So practice like that. And then the attraction will come. The more you are attracted, the more you read about Krishna, the more you will be attracted. It's a fact. You will be attracted. Just like when you first come to the Mangalarti, then you hear the samsara prayers. It's so sweet. And then you want to chant and you want to sing it, no? And so you start practicing it because it's so attractive. So therefore, you have to practice again. And then the attraction grows. This is raga or rati. It will grow. The raga is very important. So when it's sufficiently attracted, then real education begins, because you want to do devotional service. Because you understand this pleases him. Then you do devotional service. That is the real education. Every other education is just not quite there yet. Yeah. Like that. So, Srila Prabhupada also mentions that we should not hear scriptures from non-devotees, because it is Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam, right? It is not good. You are hearing something that is contaminated, because what, like the snake, right? Sarpo chistam, the snake, the lips of the snake touch it, yathapaya. The tongue of the snake is poisonous. So if it touches the milk and you drink the milk, you get poisoned. So when you hear from non-devotees, their own mixed up nonsense philosophy, garbage, it comes out garbage. It's all totally nonsense they will talk. And sometimes you hear that. And then you may be passing by and you hear and say, what nonsense, And you cannot do sometimes anything about it. But if you know the philosophy, then you know these are nonsense, and it goes on, day in and day out, right? Like that, That's like there are people in America who believe, I'm not making it up, what kind of theory they believe? The false conspiracy theories, right? Yeah, they believe in that. So there's a group of people who believe that the President Obama is a reptile man, amphibian reptile man. So this kind of philosophies, people believe. Why? Because they don't have sufficient brain. And therefore, they end up becoming reptile in their next life. So they believe so much, and they will die thinking, oh, the doctor is a reptile, this one is a reptile, I'm surrounded by reptile. And then next life they are the gecko running around your house. Yeah. So anyway, for just to end, to test yourself whether you're advancing is how much you lose attraction for material things, in your life, So, no, it is true. As you progress in your life, see how much you can push aside. Maybe you are an addict to weekly some Hindi movie or something, And then if you are sufficiently following, you will say, I'm not interested in the days of our lives anymore. I have my real life to lead now. Right? All right, so I'll stop here. Comments, questions, realizations. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I was thinking in the Bhagavad Gita, because I was reading over chapter 2 yesterday, and in text 66, Krishna says, one who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind. without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? And then in the purport, Prabhupada says that if one is not in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be a final goal for the mind. Disturbance is due to want of an ultimate goal.
Very nice.
I frequently, hearing from what you're saying, I frequently, when we go out, I'll like meet people and just ask them in their conversation, like, yeah, so like, well, what's your goal? What are you striving to achieve? And most times people they don't really know. They're like, well, you know, I just want to kind of make money, or want to do this. And it's like, people don't really consider it and think about that, and they're always in distress.
Yeah. It's in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhoga Ishvara Prashaktanam Taya Parita Chetatam, right? Chestatam. Yeah. Bahusaka hi anantasya, right? If your mind is not focused on Krishna, material world, so many things to enjoy. Bhoga, I want to enjoy Aishvarya, opulence, material things, and therefore they don't know what the goal of life is. Yeah. It's a fact though. We are so fortunate because we know Krishna, we are so focused and we are less distressed. Most of them are extremely distressed. Yeah. So nice realization there. Oh, anyone else? Oh. Summoned to the rescue.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, wonderful class Prabhuji. So it reminds me that while promoting the books, one person said that, who has seen God? Why to read this? So I asked that, do you know the chemical composition of water? He said, yeah. I said, what is that? H2O.
Yeah.
I said, how do you know that?
Yeah.
He said, it's there in science book. I said, did you make water at home?
Jai Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki, Jai Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Giri Govardhan Ki, Jai Shri Shri Nitai Chaitanya Chandra Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Chandra Ki, Jai Iskcon Guru Vrinda Ki, Jai.
So he said, no, I have not make water at home. But then I asked, how do you know the valency information? He said, no, scientists made it, they realized it and they documented it and we read it. I say, same, spiritual process is same. We have scientists Vyasadeva and Sukadev. They have documented in spiritual science books Gita and Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
So if you believe them, you can also know that. And other day, I was dropping my daughter to school. I saw the church and there was a board. That board I saw first time. Usually they say worship the Lord. But first time the board says faith, formation, registration. Faith, formation, registration. Means first let's make faith. Then you worship.
Yeah.
So society is degraded to that level.
That's right.
That earlier they are just saying worship. But now say no, faith, formation, registration first. So the spiritual education is same, process is same.
Yeah.
Scientists, we have scientists here, we have education books, and we have same process of education. Thank you,
Thank
Prabhu.
you very much. That was nice, yeah. All right, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Tai Gaura Premanandi.